If your Google ads are just bringing in junk leads, bad clicks, or people searching for things that you don't even offer, there's a pretty good chance that negative keywords are the missing piece. And once you understand how they work, you can filter out a lot of wasted ad spend pretty quickly. A lot of business owners look at an underperforming campaign and assume that they either need better ad copy, more budget, or more keywords. And sometimes that is true, but a lot of the time the problem is a lot simpler. Your ads are just showing up for the wrong searches. And that matters because even a handful of irrelevant clicks a day can quietly eat through your budget over the course of the month. So if you want better lead quality and less wasted ad spend in a campaign that feels more dialed in, negative keywords are one of the most important things to get right. So in this video, I'll show you exactly what are negative keywords and how they help you block bad fit searches, how to use them at the different levels in your account, and how to build a solid list that protects your budget and helps bring in better leads. So first off, what are negative keywords? They are the terms that you tell Google that you don't want your ad showing for. And that's really it. It's your way of saying, yes, show me for searches related to my service, but not these. So say you run an automotive repair shop. There are plenty of searches that sound related to your business, but probably aren't what you actually do. Stuff like collision work, body work, window tinting, detailing, mobile repair. Those can still look close enough that Google tries to match your ad to them, especially if your keywords are a little bit more broad, or if Google decides that the intent is close enough to show your ad. And that's really the big issue. Google is trying to help, but sometimes it gets a little bit too generous on when it shows your ad. So if you don't set clear boundaries, you end up paying for clicks from people who were never going to be a fit. Someone looking for a different service, or a competitor, or a job, a cheap option, or just information. And every one of those clicks makes the campaign a little bit less efficient. And so that's why negative keywords matter so much. They're not just a cleanup tool. They help you control traffic quality and help guide Google to finding the people that you actually want to be interacting with your ad. If you're only thinking about which keywords to target and not about which ones to block, then you're really only doing about half the job. Now that we know what they are, the next question is usually, okay, what am I actually supposed to add to my negative keyword list? And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They know negative keywords matter, they're just not sure what should go on their list. And the good news is that bad traffic usually falls into a few predictable buckets. The first is services you don't offer. So if you're in a broad category but only cover part of it, then you want to block the stuff that sounds related but is still the wrong fit. So back to that automotive repair example, you probably want to show up for things like brake repair, engine work, diagnostics, but not body shop or collision repair, detailing, tinting. So those are the ones that I would add to the list. Then there's competitor searches. And this one depends on your goals and your strategy. Some businesses do want to show up when people are searching for their competitors' names, but if you'd rather not pay for those clicks, competitor names can go on the list too. And then there's the job seeker traffic, which is one of the biggest sources of wasted spend in a lot of the accounts that I audit. Searches like jobs, careers, salary, hiring, apprenticeship, training, those kind of words are almost always coming from people looking for work and not looking to hire you. Totally different intent. And then there is your DIY or bargain hunter traffic. So that would include searches like how to, DIY, free, cheap, discount, coupons. These people usually want information or the lowest possible price. So they're not necessarily bad people, they're just not the kind of click that is worth paying for. And finally, research traffic. Things like review, comparison, versus, what is. This can signal that someone is still in research mode. So depending on your goals, that might not be the traffic that you want to pay for. The big thing to take away here is that a good negative keyword list isn't just random. You're looking for patterns, so searches that sound close enough to your business that Google might match them up, but not actually match the kind of lead that you want. So once you know what to block, the next question is where to put it, because you can add your negative keywords at a few different levels in the account. So you can add them at the account level, the campaign level, or the ad group level. At the account level, These are usually for terms that you never want your ads showing for in your entire account. So it will apply to every campaign in your account. So this is where the obvious junk goes. So things like job, careers, free, DIY, anything that's a bad fit for the whole business, regardless of which campaign somebody lands in. And then there are the campaign level negatives, which are for terms that are wrong for one campaign, but not necessarily the entire account. If you're running separate campaigns for different services, so say emergency plumbing and water heater installs, those are your two campaigns, you might want to block a term from one campaign, but not the other. That's where a campaign level negative comes in. And then you can also do it at the ad group level. So these are useful when you want to prevent one ad group from showing for searches that really belong to a different ad group in that same campaign. It's less about a broad cleanup and more about controlling the traffic and which ad group that traffic is going to. So the simplest way to think about it, before you add any negative keyword, ask yourself, do I want to block this everywhere, just in this campaign, or is it just this one ad group? Then there is one more layer that a lot of people mess up. There are match types for negative keywords as well, but they don't work exactly the same way as regular keyword match types do. So in simple terms, you've got your negative broad match, your negative phrase match, and your negative exact match. So negative broad is the loosest, and this is where people can run into trouble. If you go too broad with your negatives, you can start blocking searches that were actually relevant, which kind of defeats the whole point. And then you have your negative phrase, which is usually a good starting point for most advertisers. So you're blocking that phrase when it appears in that order, which gives you real control without being so loose that things start to get a little bit messy. And then you have negative exact, which only blocks that precise search. So it has its uses, but on its own, it's usually too narrow to do a lot of the heavy lifting and filtering. Here's the part a lot of people miss. Negative keywords don't automatically cover close variants the way that regular keyword match types do. So if you block one version of a word, that doesn't mean that Google will block every similar variation of that word. Sometimes you'll need to add singular and plural versions separately or slightly different phrasing to actually close the gap. So the practical takeaway, don't just throw negatives in without thinking about match type. Phrase match is usually a solid default, but gives you control without being too loose or too restrictive. Broad can overblock keywords and exact can underblock. And the match type that you choose changes how much traffic that you are actually filtering out. And the biggest mistake I see people making with negative keywords is that they set them up once, usually when the campaign is first launched, and then never really look at them again. But they're not a one-time setup thing. This is ongoing maintenance with your campaigns that you need to do. So the search behavior changes, Google tests the edges of your targeting, new junk searches start creeping in over time. And so if you want to keep your traffic clean and really targeted, you have to keep checking what people are actually searching for and excluding the ones that are low quality. And so the place to do that is your search terms report. This shows you the actual searches that people typed before your ad appeared or got clicked. And it's one of the best places to find negative keywords because you're not guessing, you're looking at the real data that Google is matching your ad up with these searches. And so a simple way to review it is look at the past 30 days or 2 weeks, sort by spend, and scan for the searches that are completely irrelevant, searches that sound related but are still a bad fit for whatever you offer, searches that are spending money without ever turning into leads, competitors' names. But this is an optimization that you want to make sure that you are doing regularly. The other thing you want to look for are patterns. So if you keep seeing job-related search terms or DIY searches or searches around services that you don't offer, don't just block the one specific term. You have to start blocking the theme behind it. One thing to keep in mind, Google doesn't always show you every search term either. So you're working with partial visibility, but even with that limitation, the patterns in the report are usually enough to show you where the budget is leaking and what to add as a negative keyword next. So let's talk about creating an initial negative keyword list. So when you first launch your campaign, you can upload a list of negative keywords and apply it to the campaign right from the beginning. So if you know there are certain phrases or competitors that you don't want your ad showing for, this is really important. This is also one of the places where AI can really help. You can use it to brainstorm a first draft based on your business type, the services you do or don't offer, and the kinds of low intent searches that tend to show up in your industry. So for instance, if you're building out a campaign for a dentist or an automotive shop or a spa, AI can help you think through a lot of likely exclusions a lot quicker than you thinking about it yourself. But I would still treat that as a first draft and not necessarily the final one. So your best negative keywords come from the real search term data inside of the account. AI can help you get started, but the search term report is what is really going to help you refine your campaigns. And so once those lists are built, you can apply them directly to the campaign where they make sense, which makes your initial setup of the campaign work more efficiently, quicker, and then over time, you go through the search term reports and exclude your negatives on a weekly basis or every few days, depending on how many searches come in, and then you are continuing to refine your campaigns. So negative keywords help you stop paying for the wrong searches, but the other half of the equation is knowing how to find the right keywords in the first place. So if you want to see how to do Google Ads keyword research step by step, click right here and watch this video next.